Welcome, everybody. Tuesday, January 16th. Hey, guys. John Aravosis here with my espresso. I needed a little coffee today. How are you all doing? I've got to pull my chat up here. There's my chat. Hello, guys. Hello. Nummy. Hold on, I'm going to pull my chat. There we go. So I can expand it and see you all better. Here we go. There we are. Excellent. How are we all? Let me know I'm live. I'm using the other service again today to get better quality, so always helps to know I'm actually here. You can see me. Espresso. Nom, nom, nom. You guys can see me, I hope? I'm hoping. And then I'm going to get TikTok rolling in a second once I know you can actually see me. Hello. Hello, YouTubers. You can hear me? Yes. Hi. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. I'm going to take the hi, meaning you can hear me and see me. All right. Hey, guys. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Thomas. I'm not surprised. I mean, it's about time. All right. Yep. Sounds and visuals should be good. Again, got my excellent microphone, my booster, except that it means we can't do Twitch and everything else, so I apologize. Although the Twitchers aren't here because I can only beam to YouTube from here and then TikTok here. Let me get rolling on TikTok. Hello, Paul. You can hear. The espresso I found isn't too bad when I do it for the show. It doesn't keep me up too much, although I don't like doing it this late. This is true. All right, there's TikTok. But I've got these really neat little espresso cups made in Italy by hand, which are really pretty. So I don't use that often. Hey, TikTok, having a little espresso, which I shouldn't do at this hour, but hey, Eve Killer, yeah, I'm having to use OBS because the quality is so much better. It's so bad when I'm streaming otherwise to everybody. So it is a cute little mini cup, isn't it? It's handmade in Italy. Hey, John, thank you for the gift. Oh, nummy. I didn't used to be an espresso guy, but I'm trying to cut back. I'm testing not drinking milk because I think I'm allergic to it, even though I love my cappuccino. So we'll see. Anyway, welcome, guys. Let's wait one more minute and then we'll get rolling. Hey, Shan. I always like to give people a chance to arrive on YouTube and TikTok before we get going here. So welcome all. Thank you, Jetta, for the gift, and Richard, too. Hey, Donald in Memphis. Hello. Yeah, I'll mention it on Discord. I do not. A Commanders fan? Nah, I'm not a sports guy. I've heard of the Commanders. I don't know what they play. Is that the Redskins now? The Commanders? I don't even remember. It's a stupid name, Commanders, but whatever. Yes, it's not too bad in DC actually. It's 24 degrees for DC. That's quite cold. So anyway, hello all. All right, I'm going to get rolling here. Welcome everybody. I am John Aravosis. This is my show, the Aravosis Report. We talk about the latest news from Ukraine, other national security news, and sometimes election stuff too, because of course, as the U.S. elections get rolling, very hard not to. So we'll talk a little bit about those tonight with yesterday's caucus in Iowa, what it means, what the results were. Then we will, there was another sort of brief U.S. attack on Yemen today. Thank you, Jamie. We'll talk a little bit about that. And thank you, Pedro. And then we will shift into Ukraine, and I'll be doing some news from there. So that'll be the stories we cover tonight. As always, I'll go through the news first. I'll devote the second half of the show to taking your guys' questions. Thank you, Anvin. I'll devote the second half of the show to taking your guys' questions. Thank you, Marie. And your comments and your thoughts. I don't mind you trying to throw out comments now. Thank you, Ellie, for the gift. Just be aware that I usually write up notes for the first half of the show. So if I'm in the middle of my notes, I might not see your comments. So, don't be offended if I don't sort of check out comments too much in the first half of the show. But for the second half, I'm all yours. Otherwise, that's it. Yeah, just please, guys, keep the gifts coming. I always sort of say this, but it's important. I do this for free. I do it full time. Literally, I'm able to afford doing this because your guys' gifts help me pay the bills. So please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok, YouTube. Maybe even consider becoming a monthly donor via TikTok subscriptions, YouTube membership. The mods can maybe point you in that direction. On TikTok, it's pretty easy. Just go to my profile and click live membership. On YouTube, I think it's the $ at the bottom in the comment box. Click it and look for membership, maybe? I don't know. Subscription? One of those. It's pretty clear. The dark side, exactly. Join the dark side of SNN, exactly, for YouTube, TikTok memberships. All right, guys, let's get rolling. So today is Tuesday, January 16th. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the TikTok gift. Yesterday were the Iowa caucuses. Caucuses are different than primaries. Okay, basically, Republicans and Democrats have to pick their presidential candidates. Thank you, K9. On the Democratic side, it is Joe Biden because he's running for re-election. And generally speaking, you don't usually have a serious challenge to a sitting president. Not usually. On the Republican side, of course, primary of everything. The first big contest, thank you, M. Fuller. Beautiful seafloor there. An alley. The big contest yesterday was the first sort of primary out of the gate in Iowa. It's not a primary, it's a caucus. Very confusing. Primaries, you just vote. Caucuses, they get together in little teams, and it's very weird. It was explained to me once, and I didn't understand. Literally, people get into like auditoriums and get into corners and go back and forth. It's bizarre, like square dancing with MAGA or something. I don't know. In any case, think of it as a primary, even though it isn't. It works the same way. You win, you get a certain number of points, etc. Well, Trump won last night. Does it matter? Yes, it does matter, actually. Thank you, Adventures, because these caucuses and primaries together are how we pick our presidential candidates, how we pick the candidates for each party. You win a certain number of electors or whatever I'm forgetting what they even call it with the caucuses, but you win a certain number of points with the caucuses or the primaries, and the person who passes a certain threshold of points becomes the nominee. So it matters because the first amount of points was given out last night. Trump got most of them. Thank you, Eva, for the gift, and Bet and Adventures. Trump actually won 51% last night. That was a little bit better than he was projected. The poll came out and said he was at like 48%. He got 51. Ron DeSantis got 21%, which was very surprising. I say it's very surprising because in the poll he was like at 16. Nikki Haley did pretty bad. She got 19%, but in the most recent poll, she was looking at 20%. DeSantis was looking at 16%. So the big thought was if Haley can have an upset over DeSantis at least, maybe it gives her a little momentum, to take on Trump. She got third place. That was not good. She and DeSantis pretty close, but not good. The other not good aspect from her perspective, also possibly democracy's perspective, is because Ron DeSantis got number 2, it gave Ron DeSantis the incentives to stay on. Somebody's saying, I'm not on YouTube. YouTube is commenting, so I think they're there. Did YouTube not start? People are saying they can see me. Okay, YouTubers, some people are saying they can't see me. Other ones are. I'm just double checking. YouTube's like eight seconds behind. We are here. Okay, fine. Yeah, YouTube's fine. Don't know what you're talking about, Brenda. I'm on YouTube. They're watching. If you can't figure it out, maybe somebody can help you. So, the fact that Ron DeSantis won the second place and got 21% means he's not going away. He's still thinking, hey, maybe there's a chance I can pull this off against Trump. So you've got the Republicans still dividing the vote between multiple people there, which is really bad. So it's not great. It's not great. Nearly impossible to hear over there. Okay, I don't know what that's about. Everyone else is hearing fine. I'm just double checking because we had a couple issues we've been checking out. The sound is still good on YouTube, by the way. One person on TikTok said they had bad sound. Just checking because we had some sound issues the other day, but we should not be having them now. YouTube is okay. Yeah, sorry if you had bad sound. Don't know what to tell you. So DeSantis is staying in the race. That is a problem if you want to get Trump out because now you've got him and Nikki Haley splitting the vote, right? If one of them had left, maybe their voters, some of them would have gone to the other one. So the point is, and Vivek left, the race, the Indian-American guy. He's gone. So it still is looking good for Trump. It was looking very good for Trump. Let's see what happens in New Hampshire. New Hampshire, the thought is maybe maybe Ron DeSantis will do well. Thank you, Kronos. But, it's not clear. It's not clear. Let me look really quick here, and then Annie had a question. I think that's about it. We don't really know anything else. I am not voting in the Republican primary, so it doesn't really matter who I'm not voting for anybody in the Republican primary. Annie had a question here. Annie says, was any Ukraine funding, thank you, Elizabeth, included with the package that funded the government through March? Did it even pass yet? I don't think so. I don't think any money was included in the continuing resolution or whatever it was they were going to pass. Basically, Republicans and Democrats getting together to pass something to keep the government open. I am pretty sure it has not passed yet. There was a deal worked out. Conservative Republicans were not happy with it. This is just to keep the government open. This isn't even Ukraine. And of course, the Biden administration wanted Ukraine money and also Israel money added in there. It's not there. Republicans, I believe they did not put a dime into there. They're waiting, sadly they're waiting. So anyway, very disappointing. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you for that though, Annie. But yeah, nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that's it for the primaries. Well, let me go on with the Ukraine news. Oh, Yemen. Yeah, let me do a quick Yemen hit too. So Yemen, I actually have better maps today. U.S. hit Yemen again to go after, I believe, some missiles. We believed Yemen was getting ready to go after shipping again. They've gone after ships pretty much every day still. They hit a U.S. ship, I believe, yesterday. Thank you, Kronos. Today they hit, I do have it in front of me. I think it was a Maltese carrier. Thank you, Blue and Silk. And the U.S. went after them. They were getting ready to hit another carrier, and the U.S. went and blew up more of the missiles in Yemen. Now, a little bit more on here. U.S. struck and destroyed 4 Houthi anti-ship ballistic missiles that were preparing to launch from Houthi-controlled territory in Yemen. A few hours later, the Houthis launched an anti-ship ballistic missile anyway at international shipping lanes, hitting a Maltese-flagged freighter. In related news, them to steer clear of the southern part of the Red Sea until further notice. I wanted to show you really quick 2 things. I've got the map I printed out the other day just to give you a sense of what we're talking about. This is Saudi Arabia. Israel is here in dark. This is Egypt. This is Iran, Iraq, Syria. Yemen is this country here and the Houthi-controlled territory because the Yemeni government doesn't control all of its territory. The Houthi-controlled territory is here, and they're basically able to hit international shipping around here. Now, what's important about this, I'll show you in the map in a second. This is the Suez Canal. This is the Red Sea. This is how you go if you don't want to go all the way around Africa, right? If you're going from like Asia and you don't want to go all the way around Africa and back up, you cut through the Red Sea, cut through the Suez Canal, and look at this. You're in the Mediterranean right off of Greece and Cyprus, right? A better map, or it's not a better map, but a bigger map I downloaded gives you an even better sense. This in blue shows you from Shanghai, China to Rotterdam, Netherlands. And the red is the route, the red on the bottom is the route you'd have to take if you can't do the Suez Canal because the Yemenis, the Houthis, are playing games and shooting at you. Thank you, Jonathan. Now, what they calculated was if you were to take the blue, which is the normal route from China to Rotterdam through the Suez Canal, it's 11,000 nautical miles. If you have to go around Africa, it's 14,000 nautical miles, which is 8 to 10 days longer of a voyage. So it adds a lot of time. That's money. You've got to pay for more fuel. You've got to pay the crew. In addition, 8 to 10 more days for one trip means that's 8 to 10 more days you are not carrying any other cargo, right? Think of it like a restaurant if you're a waiter in a restaurant, right? If your normal turnover for tables is 2 hours and somebody stays for 4 hours, that's another bill that you lost potentially because the table was full. Same thing with shipping. If the boats take 8 to 10 more days to get somewhere, that's 8 to 10 days the boats would have been free and they would have been able to fill with more cargo. So this is why this is such a big deal. All right, let me go on with Ukraine now. Thank you, guys. It's much more dangerous as well. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, I didn't think of that. Are you saying for Somalia? Is it for Somalia? Just curious, real quick. Jeff is saying it's much more dangerous. Because of the pirates and stuff? I'm assuming you mean? We'll see when Jeff gets back. It always takes like 8 or 10 seconds. Oh, the weather. Oh, the weather. That's interesting. No, Jeff says the weather is much more dangerous to go around Africa. That's interesting. Okay. Very interesting. All right. Cape of Good Hope. Okay, I did not know it was that dangerous down there. Bad storms. Okay. So yeah, the sea is more dangerous in the south. It takes a lot longer. It costs more fuel. It should be all about money. Yeah, well, you know what? It's a huge percent of world commerce goes in that area. You've got to protect it. Or, I mean, think about it. Everyone talks, I mean, I know you weren't probably making fun of it, Dale, but people will say, oh, we're doing this for money. We're doing this for commerce because they attack. Why are we defending commerce, right? Like it's some bad thing. Yet when the inflation rate went up like a couple percent, well, it went up a lot and now it's up like 1 or 2%, everybody flipped out, okay? That's why you worry about commerce. Inflation free. People do not want to pay more. That's a lot of money. Thank you, Denon. Ukraine. Let's talk about Ukraine. Sorry, a little sip here. I was falling asleep, so I made myself an espresso, and I have to say it's like making me like, woo! Thank you, Carol and Denon and Marcy. Dangerous when I have an espresso before the show, but I was getting sleepy, and I didn't want to yawn to you guys, so 1 second here. I was saying I love these. They're these little handmade Italian coffee espresso cups. Thank you, Joe and Marcy. 1 second here. The tiramisu. Yes, the tiramisu did not get me high. It was very good, though. I do not know what Joe Biden just agreed to with Mexico. I did not see anything. I'll have to look into it when we finish the show, but I didn't see it, Rubeer. Sorry. All right, Ukraine. So it's day 691 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. We are getting close to the 1-year anniversary. Russia invaded February 24th of 2022. That's a month from now. Russia declared a state of emergency in the city of Voronezh. Where's my map? Hang on a second here. Oh, 1 second, guys. Let me grab my map really quick. 1 moment. Oops. There we go. All right. Here's my map. Up. Get my microphone back on. So the Russians declared a state of emergency in the city of Voronezh, Russia, and that is more or less around here. Okay, this is Russia up here in blue. The rest of it's Ukraine. More or less around here. It's a city of 1 million. The Ukrainians have been hitting the city a lot because it's got a lot of military assets, and hard to know exactly what happened. The Russians claim they attacked civilians, but right, the Russians lie. My best guess is some of the drones, it looks like it at least, did come down in civilian areas, probably because the Russians blew them up. And when you blow them up mid-flight, they come down. In any case, they're declaring a state of emergency, which honestly is a good thing. Honestly, it's a very good thing. Because if the more you bring the war home to everyday Russians, thank you, Jay, the more maybe, potentially, eventually it starts to come home and people are not as big, on supporting it. Another story. This was from this weekend. I missed this one because we didn't have a show on the weekend. Ukrainian partisans blew up a vehicle carrying 4 Russian soldiers traveling through the occupied city of Melitopol. Melitopol is down here. Key area, key city under Russian occupation. Remember, this is all occupied by Russia. All of this, the line between Russian and Ukrainian troops is more or less here. So Melitopol is right down here. The Ukrainians have been really good at going after Russian troops behind enemy lines. They've been using, as they said, partisans, basically the Maquis resistance, citizens that are living in the occupied zone that are secretly working with the Ukrainian government, Ukrainian intelligence, and blowing things up. Their specialty is setting bombs. You don't hear as much about them shooting or anything. It's bombs. And car bombs especially, actually. I did make a Star Trek reference, although it actually is a French World War II reference, the Maquis. Interestingly enough, the Maquis is the term from Star Trek of the partisan revolutionaries or whatever, but it is the French resistance from World War II, or a faction of the French resistance, either way. So the troops were all wounded, and some may have been killed in the attack by the Ukrainians. Zelensky is meeting with world leaders in Davos. The Davos Forum is taking place in Switzerland. This is sort of the annual get-together economic forum of very rich people, big corporations, finance ministers, people with money who represent money from all over the world, private and public, go to Davos for this forum. Therefore, very important for Zelensky to go because it's the big power players. It's business, it's government, it's everybody. Thank you, Annette. And at the same time, it ain't going to be Russia. I don't really know how it works in Davos. I actually don't know how it works, but I can't imagine the Russians are there or invited. I just don't know whether they told the Russians they couldn't come or whether the Russians ever really come, but I'm sure they're not coming this year, which is good. Zelensky, let me see this. In terms of Zelensky's meeting, the CEOs of the world's finance giants attended a meeting with Zelensky, including J.P. Morgan Chase, Jamie Dimon, BlackRock, Vice Chairman, and the CEO of the Blackstone Group. Biden invited congressional leaders to the White House to discuss Ukraine aid. That's good. I'm not quite sure what it's going to accomplish. The meeting is January 17th, which is tomorrow. It's going to include Senate Majority Leader McConnell, Senate Minority Leader McConnell, Schumer, Mike Johnson, the House Speaker, and the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. In other words, the top Republican and Democrat in the Senate and the House are coming to the meeting. I'm not convinced it's going to lead to anything. I'm guessing Biden is doing this. Well, maybe he hopes it leads to something, but I think he's also thinking at least he's able to put it out there that he's trying to meet, he's trying to get this done. The money isn't happening. I mean, Republican leaders have said in the House and then the Senate too, that they're not going to support money for Ukraine until Democrats agree to a border deal on Mexico with the border with Mexico. There's no correlation between the two. There's no reason to hold Ukraine aid hostage to what happens with the border deal. And there's been growing concern, at least from me, that there may not be a border deal. I've said this before, guys. And honestly, this isn't really a criticism of Republicans because I think Democrats might do the same thing. There's really no great incentive for Republicans to reach a deal with Biden. Why should they reach a deal on the border? Yeah, they don't like people coming here illegally, but they love them coming here illegally in an election year because the Republicans would love to tell the public, look how bad Biden is at our border. Look how many people are coming, right? Thank you, Tigger. The last message Republicans want to send is, didn't Biden do a great job solving that border problem in 2024? No, he's up for election, right? So they don't want to work a border deal. On Ukraine, the MAGA crowd doesn't want to help. Republicans in the middle don't care. And I would say the other part, the conservative Republicans, I think, care about Ukraine. They're probably pissed off, but they have no backbone. I mean, nobody ever has backbone to stand up to the MAGA. It's always the MAGA that kind of steps on everybody else. I am not convinced that there is much of a reason why the Republicans would agree to any deal on the border or Ukraine at this point. I think Ukraine blowing up and being a disaster is something probably they'd love to have happen. Not everyone, conservative Republicans care, but the rest of them don't, that they'd love to have happen because it's one more fiasco a la Afghanistan that they could blame on Biden, right? I mean, so let's see, guys. I'm not very happy. I mean, I'm not happy. I'm not very hopeful either, you know? If the U.S. doesn't support Ukraine, asks Dean, what happens? Is it game over? It's game over eventually, yeah. Yeah, it may not be game over this year, but the Russians will keep pushing. The Ukrainians will keep slowly losing. And in a couple of years, the Russians will build up they'll build up their defenses, which good luck the Ukrainians ever getting through the Russian defenses. Hard enough now, right? I mean, we delayed forever getting Ukraine the weapons they needed. Remember, and I've said this before, we kept saying no, no, no to the Ukrainians every step of the way. Thank you, Tigger. And then we'd wait 6 months and then go, well, maybe. And then we'd make the Ukrainians train for 6 months, and then we'd give them like 1 or 2 weapon systems. And then the next month we'd give them a little bit more and a little bit more, right? And it's just like little bits here and there. Well, we waited forever. We dragged out the war. The war would have been much quicker. Had we gotten the weapons Ukraine needed, even the weapons we've already said okay, had we said okay 2 years ago to those weapons, Ukraine could have continued fighting last winter and potentially could have wiped the Russians out, at least pushed them back significantly from all the occupied territories. We delayed forever, and we gave the Russians a chance to dig in. And once the Russians dug in, what do you do? Now, Callum says Europe can still prop up Ukraine, although America's help is beneficial. Right. The concern that I had read from European officials was Europe basically is providing half of the aid to Ukraine, the military aid. America is providing the other half. And the concern is there is concern about countries keeping up the aid they're giving, right? Let alone, how is Europe going to double the aid it's giving Ukraine? Where is it going to come from, right? That's the concern here. Right. Michiel says we're running out of stocks. Exactly. That there's concern that there's concern that the Europeans don't have the weapons to give. Now, Callum says, did you see Grant Chapp's statement today? I saw a statement that was just talking about the $3 billion or pounds or whatever it is. I didn't see anything more other than, the Brits at least have promised. Thank you, Tigger, for the Pooh and Tigger for the money, for the hearts. I saw that the Brits were basically promising the same level of support this year, or even a little bit more than previous, which is good. But it can't be the same level. It has to be twice as much if the Americans are pulling out, right? Anyway, it's scary. It's scary. Bottom line is, as we said, if Europe has to double the amount of weapons it's giving Ukraine, that's a hell of a lot, because we know it's not like the major powers. France has been holding back, but Germany's not been holding back. The Brits haven't been holding back. Where are the weapons coming from? No, this is very bad. This is very bad. Let's see. It may not be the end of the world for a couple of years, but it's very bad. Sorry, Joel, I'm answering a few questions on this because why not? We're into the topic. Jolanda says, do you think that there comes a war between the West and Russia? My concern is not a war with Russia over Ukraine. My concern is a war with Russia over something else in the coming years. Although, honestly, Ukraine's a possibility too. I don't think there would have been a chance of a war with Russia had we stood up and helped Ukraine more, because I don't think the Russians would have gone for it. I worry about the Russians getting bold and, first of all, trying to take the rest of Ukraine in a couple of years, or maybe 5 years. Are we going to be there to help them again? And if the Russians take all of Ukraine, what are the Poles going to do? Are the Poles going to sit back and let it happen and the Russians come to their border? Or are the Poles going to say, you know what? Thank you, Juan. So all of a sudden the Poles could get more involved. The Baltic states. I was talking about this yesterday. What if Russia decides they want to take some land, basically do a classic Russian thing, just be a jerk about it, take some land from Poland, take some land from the Baltic states, just a little. We just want a sliver, right? And say, NATO, do you really want to go to war over it? I worry that we've sent the Russians, but also the Chinese, the message that we are in the fight for a good 2 years. If you do something and then after 2 years, it's gone. It's gone. So I worry about it. I do worry about it. European Parliament will vote later this week on a resolution that calls for stripping Hungary of its voting rights. The only problem is, and I am not an expert on European Union law. Thank you, Tom. But what I saw was reading today. Let me read this to you, okay? Hungary, as we know, has been blocking a 50 billion euro funding package for Ukraine. The resolution that they're voting on this week calls on the European Council to strip Hungary of its voting rights, which stipulates the council. Okay, the resolution has to pass first. The resolution would call on the European Council to strip Hungary of its voting rights. The European Council would then have to vote unanimously, not including Hungary, I'm sure. Thank you, Juan. Unanimously, that a breach of the European Union rules or charter is in effect, and then a majority have to vote to take away Hungary's rights. The problem is Slovakia has already said, and Slovakia just had another, thank you, Fred, just had another one of those pro-Putin, anti-Ukraine guys elected prime minister. Slovakia has already said they're going to side with Hungary in general. Thank you, Juan. So if the vote has to be unanimous, at least at some point, is Slovakia going to step in and say, no, we're defending Hungary and stop them from losing their votes? I would love if they lost the votes. I think Hungary and Turkey both need to learn that if they're not going to be good faith partners in international organizations, they should be punished for it. In Hungary's case, it's the European Union. In Turkey's case, it's NATO. Thank you, Shanlin. The Turks are still playing games with Sweden joining NATO, guys. October, the Turks went on vacation. Remember July? July is when the Turks said, oh yeah, we're going to do it. But we're going on vacation for 2 months. But we'll be back in October. They came back in October. What did they do? Nothing for 2-3 months. Finally, they just voted maybe a few weeks ago in the Turkish legislature committee. They voted to support Sweden joining NATO. Now it goes to the Turkish legislature overall. They've been sitting on it. They're just sitting on it. It's almost like dealing with Putin to a degree. I mean, I think in very many ways, you're dealing with strong men, at least people who think like strong men, whether they're strong or not. You're dealing with autocrats, you're dealing with wannabe dictators, whether it's Orban, the leader of Hungary, whether it's Erdogan, the leader of Turkey, whether it's Putin in Russia. And I really believe to deal with wannabe dictators, you've got to be kind of a dictator back to them. You know what I mean? You can't just kind of go, okay, please work with us. Okay, we'll drag it out another year. Just please work with us. That just says weakness. I really do. I think if Turkey doesn't want to be a member of NATO, even though losing them would be horrific, you tell Turkey, okay, you decide. You don't want to be a member of NATO? Leave. It would be a disaster for NATO. But you know who it would be a bigger disaster for? Turkey. Turkey can't afford to leave NATO. Turkey's going to join Russia? I've said this before. Turkey's going to join in some new union with Russia, Libya, Syria, and South Africa and Cuba and North Korea. Woo, that should be fun for vacation, you know? I mean, and if war ever breaks out with Greece, and Greece is still a member of NATO and Turkey isn't, Turkey can kiss its butt goodbye. Because now the Greeks will have all of NATO behind them and the Turks won't. So, I mean, this is why I get upset at the Russia stuff too, because I think whenever we deal, not whenever, but a lot of times when we deal with foreign bullies, ironically, we've got a reputation in the world as being the bad guy, right? When we deal with foreign bullies. But I think a lot of times we treat them with too much respect. And we basically, we worry about what they might do, but we never make them worry about what we might do. So in Turkey's case, we're terrified that Turkey would leave NATO. But we forget that Turkey itself is terrified of not being in NATO, I think. And we ought to use that to our advantage. And Putin too. You know, Putin, we're terrified that Putin has nuclear weapons. We've got nuclear weapons too. I mean, maybe we should, I'm not saying we threaten nukes, but maybe we should act like it, right? If Putin threatens nukes, you sit there and you call him and go, you know what? You use yours, we're going to use ours. So shut up already. But rather than going, World War III, we literally talked, Biden literally talked about World War III at the beginning of this war. He literally said, we can't get into a war with Russia. We've got to be careful what weapons I'm paraphrasing here. We've got to be careful what weapons we give them. We can't afford to go to war. They've got nuclear weapons. That would be World War III. Why would you say that? Right? No, it's ugh. Anyway, thank you, Tigger Poo, for the slides, for the skates. Sanctions. This was a neat argument from or a neat story from the Turks, from a Turkish publication. Turkish exporters have faced an almost complete halt of money transfers from their Russian clients since January 1st. They're in other words, so you got Turks doing business with the Russians. Since January 1st, the business has pretty much stopped. The Turks are trying to send, I shouldn't say who's sending whom. It's not clear who is sending Turkish exporters. So this is Russians buying goods in Turkey. Russia's buying goods in Turkey, and the Turkish banks or whatever are sending the money transfers back to Russia saying we can't accept them under the sanctions. Now, one thing I was reading said, the Turkish media is saying Turkish banks are refusing to receive payments from Russia, whether in Turkish lira or the Russian ruble, to better comply with the U.S. export bans, which Turkey was not signing on to really any of the sanctions. One person I was reading online was saying this appears to have started right after U.S. Secretary of State Blinken visited Turkey. So as much as we bash Turkey, and I just did, it is possible that Blinken went to Turkey and got the Turks to tighten things up a little bit on the sanctions regime, which is pretty amazing. Because that's another thing Turkey's been terrible with. Turkey just decided at the beginning, they didn't want to agree to the sanctions, so we gave them an out and said, okay, you don't have to. I mean, again, either be our ally or don't be our ally. You know, we can always turn to Greece and beef Greece up if you don't like it. Anyway, the Estonian government, little story here. The Estonian government intends to switch to a unified Estonian language education system, meaning it will no longer dedicate funds towards supporting Russian language schools. Basically, Estonia had a system of Russian language schools for Russian speakers, and finally, I think, and this was probably part of its post-Soviet hangover, Estonia was part of the Soviet Union, a captive part of the Soviet Union, and the government finally said, you know what, why are we spending money on schools in Russian to our own people when our own people frankly should learn Estonian, and we shouldn't be spending our tax money perpetuating basically perpetuating a Russian minority, not perpetuating the minority, but perpetuating the thank you, running on, what's the word I'm looking for? You're making that minority more insular by refusing to basically teach it Estonian. And I think that's ridiculous. I agree with him on this. So it's an interesting after effect of the Ukraine war, I would say, that you're also seeing the Estonians kind of pull back too. And just as the Ukrainians have in terms of some of the Russian tradition or whatever you want to call it. Finally, and here's kind of a weird story out of the Netherlands. And it's not really the Netherlands' fault, but it's a story you read and you go, Jesus. Anyway, hold on a sec. Last bit of coffee. Nummy, nummy, nummy. So, hang on here. And this is true. Wild Hunt says the Soviet Union made an effort to extinguish the native languages. That's very true. So listen to this. Netherlands defense minister tweeted today a picture of the first two out of a total 14 Leopard tanks. Thank you, Running on Coffee, for the Diney. The first two of a total of 14 Leopard 2 tanks for Ukraine that Netherlands had promised. Netherlands had been preparing the tanks. They had to order them from the industry. In other words, they had to literally order the tanks as new tanks. They promised 14. 2 of them are ready and will be going to Ukraine soon. Now, I'm not blaming the Netherlands here, guys, but a year ago, we're 2 years into the war. It took 1 year into the war for NATO to finally lift its basically ban on providing tanks to Ukraine. They only decided last January to do it. Then, remember, it was going to take forever to provide them. The 14 tanks that Netherlands is promising, the first 2 will be arriving soon. It's been 2 years into this war, and it's been a year since NATO finally came through and said, okay, we'll give you tanks. Now, again, I don't blame the Netherlands here because they had to buy the tanks. I mean, it takes a while to make a tank. Thank you, Tigger. But this is ridiculous. I think what kind of freaks me out, thank you again, Tigger Poo. What freaks me out is I didn't even know there were more tanks that they were waiting on. I just assumed by now all the tanks that were promised were there, right? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, thank you, Marcy. I mean, maybe some of you knew. I didn't think there were still tanks coming. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's just, this is what I mean by it's been so freaking slow. So freaking slow. You know? Anyway, it's very upsetting. That is it I've got for the news today. That is it for the news. 6:43. All right, we'll keep going here. So, Poppy, let me get to your question first because that's interesting. And guys, please do we'll do our question and answer period right now. Please do keep the gifts coming. Thank you, Buford. Like I said, I only hit you up on it because it's important. And honestly, the money dropped significantly. Around 6 months ago it dropped, but it's dropped a lot like in November till now as well. So that's why I harp. Please do keep them coming. I need donations to keep doing this. As I always say, I'm going to do it anyway, but I'd rather not go broke. So thank you. Thank you, Russell, and the rest of you for the gifts there. Who was it? Joe and Lori and Buford and Tom. The question from Poppy was something to the effect of, do I still think mutual assured destruction is valid? Thank you, Russell, too, if I didn't say. Mutual assured destruction is the sort of nuclear strategy theory that we can destroy. Oh, there we go. What do you think about the legitimacy of the mutually assured destruction doctrine now? The theory is that the Russians can destroy us and we can destroy them with nuclear missiles. We can all destroy each other. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, and by the way, Callum, thank you for mentioning the subscription thing. Just so folks know, you can give a tip, which is a one-time donation, or a subscription, which is you sign up for an every month contribution automatically. You can do it, as Callum said, in my profile on TikTok. Just look at the bio and you'll see live subscriptions. That's the monthly. You guys can do it via the dollar sign, excuse me, at the bottom of the page. Excuse me, I'm burping it to you guys. Sorry, that was rude. Thank you, Martin. And Danan, the mutual assured destruction. So Russia has nukes. We have nukes. We can destroy each other. It's called the MAD doctrine, ironically, MAD, mutual assured destruction, mutually assured. The idea is we are each assured of destroying each other mutually, or mutually assured. I know the Russians can destroy us with their nukes. They know we can destroy them with our nukes. And each side also knows that there's no way for us to hit each other and survive. Thank you, Cheryl. In other words, a first strike by the United States against Russia, first strike meaning we go first and we blow Russia off the map, there will still be enough nukes left, thank you, Jeddah, for us to, and Cheryl, for Russia to respond and blow us off the map. Mostly because of nuclear submarines. Nuclear submarines, submarines of any kind, very difficult to hit. And if we were to just blow Russia off the map, they'd have hundreds of missiles, at least in their submarines, to blow us off the map. Same thing if Russia attacked us. If they attacked us, Britain and France, the three nuclear powers, and destroyed our countries, our nuclear submarines would respond and destroy Russia. So there is either way, there's no way for the Russians to attack us or us to attack them and get away with it. We are mutually assured of destroying each other. So therefore, the theory is we won't. There's no reason we would attack Russia first. Because why would we nuke Russia if we know Russia can attack us? Why would Russia nuke us if they know we can respond? Well, the one concern I would have with mutually assured destruction is it's based on an assumption. Is your assumption that the other guy will respond with nuclear weapons, right? If you are, if you're a Russian, well, no. If you're an American, I think you pretty much assume if we were to shoot our nukes at Russia, they would nuke us back. If you're a Russian, do you assume that with the U.S.? Do you look at Ukraine and say, I don't know, the Americans are looking a little weak there. Do the Americans really want a nuclear war? What if, for example, we only use our nuclear weapons against Poland? No, what if we only use them against Ukraine, right? If you're Russia. What if we only use them against Ukraine? Will the Americans still respond in nuclear war? I don't think so, right? What if we only use them against Poland or Estonia? We want to get the Baltic countries back. Is America going to go to war over Estonia? Now? I don't think Trump would, So all of a sudden, I mean, the one concern I would have about mutually assured destruction is it is based on assuming, thank you, Amanda, it is based on assuming that the other guy is just as ballsy as you are, and that means Russia has to assume that about us. And they have to assume that we would absolutely, spit in their face if they dared use nukes. Do they still think that about us, or do they think we're weak? I don't know. But that's one of the things that scares me. So yeah, Amanda mentioned we do have a fundraiser we're doing for Ukraine, by the way. If you guys can help, I'd appreciate it. Basically, we're raising money for a photo surveillance system, a camera surveillance system. You've got, for example, and we're raising. Well, I'll tell you in a minute how you can donate. You've got the front line with Russia and Ukraine. This is all Ukraine, but it's the Russian troops are all here and the Ukrainian troops are here. So you've got this front line going through here, for example, right? And the front line, you've got Russians on one side of the line, Ukrainians on the other side of the line. Well, obviously, very important for the Ukrainians to be paying attention at different parts just to make sure the Russians aren't trying to sneak across or whatever, right? Well, you can use drones for that, but you'd need drones if, let's say there's a real strategic part of land and you really want to make sure when the Russians are coming. You could have a drone flying over forever. That takes a lot of time. The Russians can shoot the drone down. The Russians can also hijack the drone. Vlad said today that Ukrainian drones typically get around they can be used around 3 times before they're dead. Whether they're dead because they're shot down, whether they're dead because the Russians hijack them, electronically, right? They hack them. The way around it, my friend Vlad in Ukraine and several of his tech friends created a system, buying the spare parts. They created it themselves. Thank you, Karen. of using cameras in lieu of drones. Thank you, Foodie. And they set up cameras, for example, on trees, looking at an open field that you're trying to survey, okay? That you're trying to keep an eye on. If the Russians start to cross this field, then you know the invasion's coming in this area. And the cameras are there. The cameras are hardwired with actual wire so that the Russians can't hack it. It taps into another system that's not very close by. That system then uses satellite to send it. Bottom line is, it's all done in a way the Russians can't hack, and it's done in a way that's very small. It's a small camera on a tree. The Russians can't see it, versus a drone flying, and it gives the Ukrainians early warning of an incoming Russian attack in an area. Well, the Ukrainians, Vlad and his friends, have already raised money to build several of these already. We helped them. And we are raising money to get some more of these systems for the Ukrainians for surveillance. 100% of the donations are going to the system. Vlad put in $3,500 of his own money. They raised over $10,000 from Ukrainians, and now he asked if we could help maybe raise $2,000 ourselves. We did a quick little fundraiser this morning. We only raised about $200, I think, this morning. Not very good. Usually we do much better. But if folks can help, I'd appreciate it. Vlad's, I can't put it on here. Hold on, let me pull this up. On TikTok, I can at least grab it. Thank you, Karen. Here we go. Vlad's, I will put this on, on YouTube, I can put this. TikTok, I can't put this. So YouTube, that is Vlad's information for the YouTube gang. I put it in the comments. For the rest of you, you know what? I didn't put the link up. Shoot. I meant to do this. You know what? Hang on a second, guys. Let's do this while we're live. Hang on. Let me, Linktree. I forgot to put my Linktree live. I will do it so that you folks can help. Lydia, I don't see a reason for us to go to war with Russia either. That's why we're not. So glad we agree. No one says we're going to war with Russia, so, oops. Knocked you guys over there. Hang on. I want to log in really quick here to my Linktree and update this, because I did forget to put this here. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Oops. Come on. All right. Help by surveillance cameras for the Ukrainian military. There we go. Help by surveillance cameras for the Ukrainian military. There we go. It's live. Alrighty. So now, if you go to my Linktree, you will you can find the Linktree link on TikTokers in my profile. Go to my profile on TikTok. Look at the link that says Linktree. Click it. And the very top thing that comes up will say, help buy surveillance cameras for the Ukrainian military. Send your gift via PayPal to my friend Vlad Naprakovsky, and gives Vlad's PayPal. That is not a link that you can click on. That is simply, once you get there, it is simply giving you Vlad's PayPal info. You need to then go to your PayPal and type in Vlad's PayPal information. Okay? There's no way to sort of click on that link and go to Vlad's PayPal because he's in Ukraine. It's more complicated. So that is Vlad's PayPal information. We've been doing this through Vlad for 2 years now, over $100,000. He can be trusted. TikTok doesn't let us post links anymore. That's shitty. Well, but again, very easy on TikTok. Just go to my profile and look for the Linktree link in my TikTok profile. Very easy. The terrorist attack yesterday, was that the one near Tel Aviv? I mentioned it. I mentioned something near Tel Aviv. If that's the one, Red, I'm not sure. Anyway, so what else, guys? What else? Let's Q&A. Is it Red? Okay, thank you. I appreciate you mentioning it, though. Yes. And oh yeah, that's right. I've got the new auctions. Coming back from Chicago, it was kind of Christmas. So I finally got new auction items up. We've got the really cool auction items. I have not been to Ukraine, dying to go, hopefully someday. I just put new auction items up on our Discord. We have a Discord community, and maybe we'll even go to Discord and hang a little tonight, because we haven't done that in a very long time. We've got a Discord community, discord.aravosis.com. We hang out, we chat, it's fun. And I've got an auction there that we raise money for Ukraine, and we raise money to support my work because I do this full time, so it helps to pay my bills. And half of the money from the auctions goes to Ukraine for whatever we're working on at the time. Half of it goes to support me. So I could show you guys two of the things that we're auctioning right now. One of them I showed you the other day. I finally did put it up. This is up for the next week. The auction ends Wednesday in a week. This is the top part of a periscope of a Russian T-72 tank captured in Ukraine. Sent to me, Vlad did not get his hands on it. Other folks in Ukraine get their hands on it. It's a mirror on the bottom because it's a periscope. This is the top part, very cool. It's actually quite heavy, which I guess makes sense because it's tank worthy, but you can see the mirror underneath. Now, one thing I was recommending to people is, for example, I'm getting my fingers all over it, putting a Ukrainian flag under here and sitting on your desk. It's then going to have the Ukrainian flag. So you can put anything under it that you want. I mean, I'm trying to find, I have nothing else interesting to put under here. You know what I mean? But you put whatever you put under here will show, which is kind of cool. Anyway, very cool. Top part of a a Russian T-72 tank periscope. The other thing I want to show you really quick, and this is really neat because I didn't fully appreciate what this was until she explained it today. I thought it was a bracelet. It's called a cotillion. And I want to show you what it is, but then explain it because it gets way more cool once you explain it. This, I thought, was a bracelet. It's not. It's made by Wild Hunt Corsetry, who's with us tonight, Larissa. Larissa is Ukrainian-American. She specializes in making authentic, traditional Ukrainian jewelry. I forget, beadwork. I don't know what you call that. It's not embroidery. What do you call this? Or just beadwork, I guess. But you can see the beads with Ukrainian trident. What is neat about this piece is loom work, she says. Okay. Let me pull up the description we put on in the Discord because I think it's so cool. Let me read this. Well, because again, I thought it was cool, and I'm like, oh, it's very pretty. You know, I wouldn't wear a bracelet because I thought it was a bracelet. It's not a bracelet. It's called a cotillion. It's meant to be hung. So you could hang this on a wall. You could hang it. What's nice, because it's got both sides, of course, you could hang it on your rear view mirror in your car, which is when I thought of that, I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. Listen to what this actually is, though. It's way cooler now that I know what it is, listen to this. Now that I know what it is, I'm like, okay, that's really cool. So listen to this. Larissa wrote up the description. Oh, where is it? Here we go. This piece of beadwork is called a cotillion. They were made by the girlfriends and wives of Ukrainian soldiers as a good luck charm or amulet to protect the soldiers. They would have attached the pendant to the bottom of the breast pocket, much like some people do with a pocket watch. And she's got a video we attached that shows that they attach it on their pocket. Here, you see old pictures of Ukrainian soldiers from forever ago, and they're wearing these things on their uniforms. And it was given to them by like a girlfriend or a wife as a good luck charm, okay? This cotillion, this one, is a handmade reproduction of an extant cotillion in the collection of the Ukrainian Museum of Canada, Ontario branch. Cotillions are still gifted to soldiers today, but they are equally beautiful hung in your home, vehicle, or even on your Christmas tree. It is created with UV-resistant thread. So the idea there is if you have to, you could put it in a window and it shouldn't fade. Now I think it's way cooler knowing what it is. Like at first, I have to say, at first I was like, oh, it's a bracelet with a Ukrainian trident. That's nice. That's very cool. And this is a copy of the one in the museum, which is neat too. So she based it off of the same design. But see, now I love it, knowing what it is. Like I said, I could see this like in a rear view mirror. Anyway, this is one of the other things we're auctioning off. Larissa donated it, to be very kind of her to donate it. So we've got that over in the auctions too. So do go check them out. Number of other things, but those are probably my two favorites that are there. I don't even remember what else we've got there, but do go check it out. So anyway, isn't it stunning? Yeah, like I said, I thought it was nice. And then I read the description and I went, okay, that's really cool. That's really cool. Hold on. I got to respond to a message here. Anyway, all right. So let's talk. Questions. Liam says, if Biden wins the presidential election, is he capable of serving a full second term? I don't know. Hope so. But I'm not convinced Trump is capable of serving a full, right? All joking aside, I'm not convinced our democracy can survive. I don't think our democracy can survive another term from Donald Trump. There. Is Biden capable of surviving? Maybe, maybe not. Is our country capable of surviving if it's Trump? No. If it's Biden, You know what the worst thing that happens is? Somebody else becomes president. Big deal, right? And as much as people complain about Kamala Harris, she's not going to destroy the world. She's not going to destroy our democracy. She's not going to saddle up to our enemies. She's not going to give away nuclear secrets like Trump did. She's not going to do any of that. You may not like her. She's too liberal. You know, and the same thing like Nikki Haley. I say this about Nikki Haley. She's too conservative for me, but she's not going to destroy our democracy. And the same thing for Kamala Harris. She's not going to destroy our democracy. So, yeah, Biden may or may not survive the second term, but our country won't survive a Trump second term. And you guys know it, and I'm sorry. With the election coming up, I'm not going to play games by defending Trump. There's no excuse for defending Trump at this point. If you like Nikki Haley, I'm fine with that. Honestly, if you like Ron DeSantis, I'm not a DeSantis fan. I think he's very problematic, but I don't think it's the end of our democracy if Ron DeSantis is president. I just think, personally, it's a disaster, but I don't care. I mean, I don't care in the sense of, you know what I mean? He's just far right. That's fine, as far as that's what happens in America, right? Sometimes you get far left, sometimes you get far right. I don't want crazy, and I don't want somebody who's going to destroy our democracy. Trump will destroy our democracy. Chris Christie will not. Nikki Haley will not. Ron DeSantis is pretty bad. I still don't think he's going to destroy our democracy the same way Trump will. I don't think so. I don't think so. Trump, forget it. I can't stand DeSantis, but we're talking about destroying our democracy. That's different. That's a different question. And Kamala Harris, the same thing. She's not going to destroy our country. She's not going to, I mean, we all like to play games like, oh, they're going to destroy the country. You know, Kamala Harris would be very left. Ron DeSantis would be very right. Neither of them is going to destroy our country. DeSantis is pretty bad, but he's way better. DeSantis would go on a religious right jihad, you know, anti-woke jihad, but I still don't think he's going to destroy the country like Trump will. So, what do we mean destroy our democracy? Stop having elections. Trump's staff already said he wasn't going to leave last time. Trump's strategy was not to leave. It's not even, guys, and I don't want to get into the Trump stuff, but the election's in a year and we're going to have to. It's not debatable anymore. All the stuff about Donald Trump is just not debatable anymore. There's no, you know, you've got to prove Trump is a bad man. We all know Trump's a bad man. We all know he's a horrible human being. We all know morally there isn't an ounce of morality in the man. There isn't an ounce of ethics in the man. We know he's committed crime after crime after crime. We know he's been a nonstop threat to national security, right? Any of the stuff Trump did, you would have had Hillary Clinton shot if she did the stuff Trump did. Stealing our nation's secrets and giving them, he gave one of our secrets to the Russians in the Oval Office. He told them something that the Israelis were ready to like lose it themselves. Trump stole 14 boxes, including classified 100 and some classified documents, including the top secret, highest code word documents you could have. He gave some of our nuclear secrets to some Australian. It goes on and on and on, guys. And I'm sorry, but our democracy is at stake. And I'm not going to play games anymore, and none of us should either. We are no longer at the point where we're going to sort of discuss with Trump supporters as if you're supporting just somebody else. Like I said, Ron DeSantis, I think the man's a jerk, but if you support DeSantis, whatever, right? He's horrible, but whatever. I don't think he's going to destroy our democracy. Donald Trump has already proven it. And this is why I said, like, I'm not even going to get into a negotiation with the Trumpers on this. Thank you, Napoleon. You are supporting somebody who is anti-American. You're supporting somebody who's a sexual abuser, who has committed crime after crime, who has proven himself to be the kind of person you wouldn't let this man date your daughter. You'd have this, what you would do if this man tried to ask your daughter out, you would lose it. You'd never let him near your children. And you pretend like he could be president of the United States. No, I mean, and again, with the election coming up, there's no choice but for us to keep mentioning Trump and talking about it because he is a bad human being. He's a bad American. He likes our enemies and he hates our friends. He doesn't like our country. He doesn't like our freedoms. He doesn't like what this country stands for. He likes himself. It's about money. Every single thing that you guys accuse Joe Biden of, Donald Trump is guilty of. The corruption, the money, the family corruption. I mean, it's thank you, Tarad. No, I was a Republican once. It sickens me when I see what Republicans have become by bending over for Donald Trump. Republicans believed in national security. We believed in defending the country. We believed in defending our allies. We believed in morality, in God. In God. You guys don't believe in God anymore? You claim to be good Christians and you support a man like Trump who is as again, you wouldn't let him near your daughter. Okay? And as much as any of you guys say online, any of the trolls who say, oh, I love Trump, you know in your heart, you'd never let him near your child. You'd never let him date your daughter because he's scum and you know he's scum. And yet as a Christian, worst comes to worst, you say you'll support him as a Christian. And that's what's so disgusting. I mean, to me, that's the most disgusting part. That as Christians, you're voting as a Christian and you're supporting a man who clearly isn't religious at all. I mean, let's face it, he's not even religious, okay? But he's also the opposite of religious. He's a perv, he's a liar, he's a cheat, he's a thief. He's probably broken 9 of the 10 commandments, and you have no problem with it because he's going to ban abortion or whatever it is, you know, in any case. No, I think we are at the point where too many of the good people who are supporting Trump understand it now. I told a story yesterday of a relative of mine who was a Trump supporter and gets it and says he cannot be the nominee. He's definitely wants a Republican to win, but says he's a horrible human being. He cannot be the nominee. And if you don't get that now, then you need to be schooled, you need to be scolded, and you need to be chided and embarrassed. We are beyond the point of having to coddle Trump supporters and say, he's really, you're okay. Can we please get you to vote in support of democracy? Can you please maybe support not violently overthrowing the government? I mean, come on, people. No, anyway. All right. I didn't want to get into a Trump tirade, but come on, you know? So Biden is better? Biden's obviously better. Biden's better. Nikki Haley's better. Even Ron DeSantis is better. Kamala Harris is better. Chris Christie is better. Pretty much any serious candidate out there is better than Donald Trump because none of them supported violently overthrowing the government. None of them have committed the crimes Trump committed just on national security alone. Biden didn't hand our secrets to the Russians. Biden didn't keep nuclear secrets in his hotel and give them away, just give them away to a foreigner. Biden didn't do any of that. All you've got on Biden is his son's an alcoholic and a druggie is what you've got on Biden. And you don't like it. I don't like it either. His son is scummy. That's all you've got on Biden. Literally, one of the Republicans from the committee was on TV today with Maria Bartiromo, Fox News. And she asked her, like, so what's the biggest smoking gun you've got on Biden showing he's a crime family? And the guy goes, we've got financial statements. That's literally all he said. He didn't say, well, we've got the example of when Biden did this. She gave it to him. What is the best example you've got of evidence of Biden's crime family? Well, we've got financial statements. That's all he said. Google it. Maria Bartiromo, Fox News. Google it. So, no. I mean, give me a break. And anyway, and let me remind you all, you like what I do, I need your support, okay? Please, buy the gifts, do the support, do the PayPal, do the Venmo. You can find all those links in my profile on TikTok. You guys can find it at aravosis.com or what Laka just did. Getting the Farmer with a Tractor subscription. Oh, Dawn, you animal. Ooh. Okay, Dawn just bought a ridiculously cool gift. Thank you, Dawn. Wow, thank you for that. You didn't have to do that, but thank you. Thank you, Frank Thomas and Steven. That was really cool. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. In any case, no, I mean, I go back and forth on what to say about the elections, but there's really no choice. You know, people say be objective, whatever. How do you be objective about somebody who literally tried to overthrow the government? How do you be objective about somebody who you don't believe, who you reasonably don't believe is going to accept the election results? How do you do that? Somebody who's proven that they literally give our secrets to their enemies, that they don't care about classified information. I mean, again, my problems with Trump aren't policy in general, right? You can hate Trump for his border policy. You can hate him for his Muslim ban. I don't even think any of this is close to that. Those aren't the arguments for why you don't support Trump. The arguments are he's a bad American, he's a bad Christian, and a bad human being. And that's why you don't support the man. It's not, I disagree with him on certain policies like immigration and how he treats Muslims because he's kind of racist. Yeah, Of course he is. But that's not like disqualifying in the sense that I wouldn't vote for him, but that's a totally other category. Totally other category. Thank you, Louie and Hedge. I appreciate it. No, it's and like I said, we've got to stand up to the Trumpers on this. These guys have got to be stood up to at this time and say, no, you might have made a mistake before, but not this time, And as I said, Republicans and Democrats alike, neither side, both. I mean, the really funny part is that, unfortunately, Fox News and the Republicans learned early on, and now it's just not only Fox News, it's everybody. They learned early on to accuse Democrats of the corruption from the Republicans, not the Republican positions. Like I said, Republican positions I'm fine with. Thank you, Cheryl. You want to be anti-immigration, whatever. I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care in the sense of course, you can run for office and whatever, right? But it's the corruption that Trump did and is ongoing doing. The corruption his children did. $2 billion his son-in-law got from the Saudis. $2 billion, guys. You guys are talking about first of all, it's not proven, but you're talking about, millions of dollars that Hunter Biden might have gotten from a client. Thank you, ADA. $2 billion with a B. that Jared Kushner got from the Chinese. His daughter Ivanka forever was trying to get this trademarks from the Chinese government. Trump became president. Suddenly Ivanka got her trademarks that were being held up. Yay! Isn't that nice? I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But again, put the money aside. He's going to destroy our democracy. And again, this is the argument the Republicans have been taught to do. Oh, Biden's destroying our democracy too. Oh, really? Biden, the guy that you guys say is in a coma, he's also destroying our democracy? He's also a dictator? And, by the way, Biden, the guy who's in a coma and can't move, supposedly, is coordinating all of these secret deals with his son and foreign governments? How's he doing that exactly from his coma bed in the basement of the White House? Like, I mean, the lies are ridiculous. Disagree with Biden on policy, that's fine. But don't give me these BS lies about, he's the worst president ever. Oh, give me a break. That's what I'm saying. Like, Chris Christie wouldn't be the worst president. Nikki Haley wouldn't be the worst president ever. I can admit that. You should be able to admit that too, but you won't. So, Jesus. You don't think any one man can take down our democracy? What do you think happened last time, though? I mean, that's my concern, Brian. What happened on January 6th? Trump wasn't going to leave office, okay? They got this close to capturing members of Congress on January 6th. This close. They were outside the Senate doors and they didn't know it. Thank you, Jeremy. And remember the guard, the black police officer in the Senate who was coming up the stairs with all the guys coming after him? Had they taken a right, they would have gone right to this room, I've been there because I used to work there. They would have gone right to this little lobby where the door was to the Senate. And they would have looked and gone, holy crap, that's where they are. He got them to walk the other way by basically, watch the video again. You'll see the black cop coming up the stairs and then he looks over and he kind of goes this way and goes, hey! And the guy's like an idiot follows him. Thank you, Yaya. Dangerous as Mike Pence. What if they got Mike Pence? What would they have done? Even better than Mike Pence. What do you think they would have done to Nancy Pelosi or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? They probably would have killed them, right? They probably would have killed them. You may not I don't like AOC. I don't want her physically hurt. I don't like Mike Pence and I don't want him physically hurt. No, we got so close on that day. And like I said, if Trump had refused to leave office, what would you have done? One man can't cause a crisis. What if he refused to leave? What if he got Mike Pence to agree to not accept the votes? Thank you, Dark Delaney. You guys don't understand. You don't understand because I was researching this to death when the election was happening. And the funny part is a good friend of mine, I got to get him to come on, at the Center for American Progress, is an expert on all this stuff. And he was writing all of these different papers and memos on how Trump could steal the election. But with this crazy coup stuff, everybody thought he was nuts. Not at cap, but other people were like, oh, that would never happen. Right? Republicans would never use the Congress to try to deny certifying the vote. Yes, they almost did. Mike Pence almost did. He almost did. And had he done that, the election wouldn't have been certified by Congress. And then what would have happened on January 20th when Trump refused to leave office? Thank you, Nicola. What would have happened? I mean, that's my concern, guys. Literally, Congress has to certify the election. It is crazy complicated, but what if Congress just doesn't certify the new president? That he's not the new president? What happens 2 weeks later on January 20th when Congress refuses to certify the new president and legally we don't have a new president? And the old one says, I guess I'm staying, which is what Donald Trump would have done. Then that literally, but that's why, Brian, when you said one man couldn't cause that much trouble, one man was going to do all of that. And then what do? Forcefully evict him? Do we call the military in to raid the White House? I mean, this is crazy in America. No, that's the problem is I think we learned very well that the system is not able to self-correct, right? Donald Trump, right? One man. Well, the system will stop him. Did the system stop Trump from running again? If Trump was impeached and convicted, he wouldn't have been able to run for president again. He did. They could have stopped him. Mitch McConnell said he wasn't going to impeach Donald Trump, or convict him, I should say, because if he convicted Donald Trump, it would be mean, and he already lost the election, so there's no reason to. And a bunch of us said, what are you talking about? If you don't convict him in the Congress, you get impeached first and then you get a conviction of the impeachment. If you don't convict him, he's going to run for president again. No, he won't. Well, he is now because the system didn't work. The system didn't hold him accountable. It's very scary. I mean, again, we shouldn't be at the point now where we still say, oh, I know Trump is crazy, but how much damage can he really do? Oh, I mean, the military takes an oath to the Constitution. Let's hope they keep it. Again, these are all men and women. They're all men. I say men meaning mankind. Men are fallible. The guy, you better believe Trump's people said this time he's not picking bad people to run the agencies. Last time he picked bad people who didn't listen to him, people who wouldn't do what he wanted, right? He wanted them to fire the attorney general and put his crony in. They refused. He wanted to get rid of the CIA director and put his crony in. He refused. Or at least put a deputy. The deputy at least. He wanted to put all of his people in the Pentagon. His Pentagon people refused to go in the streets, right? They told him, we're not doing this. He wants to put people in place that are willing to do what he thinks next time. So next time, somebody running the Pentagon is one of his Looney Tunes who says, hell yeah, I'll use the Pentagon to crush dissent. I'll use the Pentagon to make sure that Trump stays in the White House past his term, right? Oh, sorry. Sash, I woke you up with my screaming. Sorry. Woke my dog up. Sorry, Sash. It's very scary. Oh, God. I'm not convinced Secret Service would have. I think Secret Service wouldn't have known what to do. You know? Yeah, I mean, again, this is all Trump supporters have. You know, your man Biden has wrecked everything he's touched. Give me an example. The economy is growing at 5%. A ridiculously good number, much better than Trump. Unemployment is at 3.9%, same as Trump. Inflation jumped up. Now inflation's down to like 4%. So inflation's fine. What is it? Joblessness is at its lowest in decades. The economy, nobody thought the U.S. economy could grow this well. The economy is doing better than it's done in decades, and that's not me. That's all the economists saying, okay? So what has Biden wrecked exactly, other than the fact that he's put the economy in far better condition than it's been in years, right? We were supposed to have a depression, a recession. We didn't. And we were supposed to. We didn't. Biden saved us from that too. So this is what I'm saying. Like, for the Trumpers out there who hate Biden because you were told to hate Biden, don't just repeat the lies. Actually go through it. When you say Biden's ruined everything he's touched, explain what it is. But if it's the economy, you lose because the economy is doing better than anybody could imagine. And that's all from Fox News and all the Republican sources. They admit it. Google it. Check it out. But you've been lied to about it. Borders, I'm not thrilled about the immigrant stuff. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about the southern border thing. I will say this. How is the southern... I think it's bullshit, frankly, that we have so many people coming illegally across the border. I will say this, though. How is it affecting you, really? Right? I mean, how is it really affecting you? Again, we should stop. I am totally in support of doing much harsher at the border to stop people from coming in illegally, okay? But how is it really affecting your life? It's not affecting your job. It's not affecting your kids. It's not affecting your family. It's not affecting anything. Anything. You know? I mean, you care about it, but making it the number one issue, like, well, what about the southern border? You were told to care about the southern border. You don't care about the southern border. I mean, I care about the southern border, but it's not my number one issue. The number one issue is the economy. And the economy's doing great, and you know that's the number one issue. The other number one issue used to be national security, but we don't talk about that anymore because Trump sided with our enemies again and again and again and again. Jeez. But out of the southern border, please. Man. The southern border's been like that for decades, which is too bad. But I do agree we need to shut off the illegal immigration coming across the border. It's BS, and it shouldn't be happening. So on that one, you've got a little bit of an argument because I do think Biden's too pro-immigration in that regard. But I got news for you. Like, we're going to accept the guy who tried to violently overthrow the government because you think there's too many Mexicans crossing the border illegally? Really? Like, end democracy as we know it, a few more Mexicans than we want. Really? How does that work exactly? I mean, give me a break. That's what I mean. Even the arguments are ridiculous. No, they shouldn't be coming in. But if we end our democracy, it's going to be even worse. So, oh my God. Jesus Christ. Anyway, well, I would agree with you on their stargaze flower, but nobody actually says that. Well, the only people who say that I won't even go there, but neither Democrats nor Republicans tend to say communists are great guys. Although, I shouldn't say that. Trump has. That's not true. Trump has. Trump, unfortunately, has been way too cozy with the communists in North Korea and China both. Anyway, we were going to go to Discus, but it's too late. It's too late now. Not to Discus, to Discord, but it's a little late now. So, oh well. Anyway, we're not all that bad. Are you still a Trump supporter, Chief Tropical? You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. You should be supporting someone else. Again, support a Republican. That's fine. But Donald Trump at this point, come on. You guys are better than this. No, I was a Republican. This isn't what you believe in. Literally Republicans threw everything they believed in out the window when Trump became president. It literally is like a cult. You no longer care about national security. You no longer care about morality. You don't care about God. You still care about guns, but guns, he doesn't do anything on guns. Abortion, okay, yeah. He helps you make abortion illegal. That's going to bite you in the butt probably for the next 10, 20 years of elections. You're going to be in real trouble on the abortion thing, but he did do that. But on everything else, he's disgusting as for a Republican. God. Ugh. Anyway. No, it's too late though. It's 22 after. When I go on for like an hour and 20 minutes, I don't really like to go to Discord because then Discord can go on for another hour. So if I go to Discord after the first hour, it's not too bad. Oh, you're a communist? Well, thank you, Timothy. Discord I like to go sort of at the hour because then if we go another hour, it's not too bad. Recap. I can do a quick recap. Let me do a quick recap of the stories we've talked about, guys, and then we'll call it quits. As again, please do keep the gifts coming. I appreciate the work. If you like what I'm doing and you can afford it, please do consider sending some gifts my way or going to Venmo, Cash App, etc., which you can find via aravosis.com, or you guys can find it in the Linktree link in your profile. First, I talked about the Iowa caucuses. Trump got 51%, DeSantis 21%, Nikki Haley 19%. This means that DeSantis is not leaving the race, which means the vote will continue to be divided between DeSantis and Haley, which is not good if you're trying to stop Trump. Yemen, the U.S. launched another attack, maybe the third or fourth, against Yemen, against some missiles, anti-ship missiles that the Yemenis were, the Houthis in Yemen were preparing to fire at ships in international shipping lanes. In Ukraine, state of emergency was declared in the Russian city bordering the Ukrainian border, more or less not bordering. It's a good chunk inside of Russia from Ukrainian drone attacks. Ukrainian partisans, Sasha, you got to wait. She wants water. Ukrainian partisans have blown up a vehicle carrying 4 Russian soldiers in the occupied town of Melitopol. Zelensky met with world financial leaders in Davos. Biden invited congressional leaders to the White House to discuss Ukraine aid, which is good, but I wish he would do a little bit more on that. The European Parliament is voting this week on a resolution to strip Hungary of its voting rights, but it looks like in the end, once it goes through the procedure, that Slovakia, which is now run by a pro-Putin guy, may come to Hungary's aid. The Turkish exporters are now having a hard time doing business with Russia because Turkish banks are starting to turn away Russian money transfers that are being sent to buy Turkish goods. This might be the result of the Secretary Blinken from the U.S. visiting Turkey recently. The Estonian government intends to switch away from Russian language education for its Russian minority, saying Estonian only from here on out. And finally, the Netherlands defense minister said the first 2 out of 14 Leopard 2 tanks that it promised Ukraine are finally being sent to Ukraine. They had to be made fresh, and there's another 12 that are still being made. And I don't blame the Netherlands, but it's crazy, like we said, that there are still tanks that were promised that haven't been sent yet. We're 2 years into this. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Anyway, all right, guys, that is it for today. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us. I appreciate your support. We had some fun rants today. I'm going to go and make some rice and have some fish. But I will see you guys tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time every day is when I do this. We talk about Ukraine. We talk about American elections and everything else too. So, all right, guys, you have a good night. I'm going to sign off. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. Have a good night. Thank you again for the gifts. I appreciate it. Remember, go to aravosis.com and you can see my Venmo, my PayPal, everything else. Please do support.